Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is September the 13th, 2022. It is Tuesday. Tuesday, and it feels like a Tuesday. I slept hard last night, so I was not prepared to wake up, and I still feel groggy. I was in a dream. I've been, ever since we took our trip to Little Egypt, to Illinois. All I have been dreaming about is driving around looking at archaeological sites, looking at different places. That's all I've been dreaming about. So I'm sure that will fade with time, but that is I've been so caught up in the dreams that I have not been wanting to wake up, probably because it's so much better than, having to wake up into reality and go back to work. But it is what it is. Um, Today we're going to read Isaiah 41. I don't have too much else to say. Again, I'm still a little groggy, still a little tired. My body is hurting today. I don't know why. I think it's the change in pressure outside. All my joints are hurting. It was raining yesterday, and it was like, really heavy pressure outside, and we had a lot of clouds, and today it's clearing up. So, the barometric pressure, there you go, I couldn't get the word out. It changes, and all your joints start to hurting, which happens to me. I always thought it was like a joke when people would say, oh, I can tell it's gonna rain by, my knees are starting to hurt. It's like, yeah, right. And then it started happening to me, and I'm like, holy crap, I can predict the weather. I can't, but it's what it is. It's why everything hurts. My dogs go through the same thing. I've got a 12-year. I think she's 12 years old now. Oh wow. No, she's 13 years old now. Is she 12 or 13? She's 13 because, yeah. Okay, math is not my best suit. Anyways, she's old. She's old enough that she's having problems getting around, and but especially when it's cloudy and raining outside, she just does not want to move, and that's pretty much how I'm feeling right now. I don't want to move. I'm having a hard time getting around, and especially getting out of the shower. For whatever reason, this house that we moved into has such a high lip bathtub that you have to step over into, and it's just like my knees constantly scream at me. What are you doing? Well, but it is what it is. Anyways, let's read Isaiah. I don't have anything else to really talk about. Everything is going on the way that it is. People are not wanting to. People are not wanting to hear the truth of anything. So much so to the point that they are going to let it lead to their own destruction. It's like, well, I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, we tried. We really tried to wake you people up, and you're just not going to go along with it. So I'm sorry. I wish you the best, but that's neither here nor there. All we can do is pray for them and hope that they wake up before it swallows them whole. It is what it is. So, anyways, Isaiah 41. Yeah, I don't think we need to do a recap of what happened the last time. I think we just need to read it. If you want to recap what happened last time, go watch yesterday's video so that you know. Alright. Keep silence before me, O islands, and let the people renew their strength. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come near together to judgment. Who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings? He gave them as the dust to his sword, and as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them, and passed safely, even by the way that he had not gone with his feet. Who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, the Lord, the first, and with the last, I am he. The isles saw it and feared. The ends of the earth were afraid, drew near and came. They helped every one his neighbor, and every one said to his brother, Be of good courage. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith, and he that smootheth with the hammer him that smote the anvil. Okay, let me read that one again, because that one came out a little weird. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith, and he that smootheth with the hammer him that smote the anvil, saying, It is ready for the soldering. And he fastened it with nails, that it should not be moved. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham my friend. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant, I have chosen thee, I have not cast thee away. Alright, and there's a paragraph break. That is a pilcrow. That's what it's called. I looked it up. I had to look it up. It is a pilcrow. It's backwards P. It is a paragraph break. That is what it is. So it shows you the ending of a thought and the beginning of a new thought. It's a paragraph break. Pilcrow. That's what it's called. So let's reread this one a little slower, see if we can pull some stuff out of it. Because it did kind of go by pretty fast, especially for me. It just felt like it read really fast. Or I read it really fast, either way. So starting from the top. Keep silence before me, O islands, and let the people renew their strength. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come near together to judgment. Okay. Who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings? He gave them as the dust to his sword, and as driven stubble to his bow. So who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his feet, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings? Who was it? God himself. He pursued them and passed safely, even by the way that he had not gone with his feet. Who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, the Lord, the first, and with the last, I am he. The Lord God is first, last. He is the beginning and the end. He knows the end from the beginning. He knows everything. The isles saw it and feared. The ends of the earth were afraid, drew near, and came. The ends of the earth were afraid, drew near, and came. The ends of the earth came. Folded up, as it were. They helped every one his neighbor, and every one said to his brother, Be of good courage. It's another one of those, do not fear. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith, and he that smootheth with the hammer him that smote the anvil, saying, It is ready for the soldering. And he fastened it with nails, that it should not be moved. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith. Now, it's a very weird kind of verse to just kind of shove in there. There's probably something more to it than just that. Let me check my Strong's Concordance. Why not? That he smootheth with the hammer him that smote the anvil. Saying, It is ready for the soldering. Saying, It is good. It should not be moved. Again, there's more to it than just that, I'm sure. I'm not seeing it right now, though. We'll have to contemplate on that one later. But thou, Israel, art my servant. This is verse 8. But thou, Israel, art my servant. Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant, I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham. You are my people. I have called you, taken you from the ends of the earth, pulled you all together. Because you are the chosen. Now, of course, everybody likes to say, well, they're the chosen people. They're the only ones that are going to be saved in the end. No, that is not true. They were his chosen people, but it is always said from the very beginning of the Bible that if the Gentiles, if the nations come, and if they simply follow the rules, learn the ways, are grafted into the tree, as it were, that they can become a part of it. That they could be grafted in, that they could be pulled into the family, they could be adopted into the family. That has always been an option since the very beginning of the book. They just have to come in, they have to learn their ways, they have to forsake their lives before so that they could come into it. That's what the book says. So a lot of people want to say, well, there's only a chosen people, there's only a chosen amount of people. Yes, but at the same time, it also says you can be pulled in. Don't ever let anybody tell you that there is only a chosen people. If you want to come in and learn the ways, learn the laws and the testaments of God, you can be a part of it. I don't know how it works on the back end. I don't know if, there's any special considerations on the other side. I wouldn't think there are. But I don't know. Yeah, some people. From some people I've heard, they've said that, it's all the nations, all the Goyim are going to be the servants of the true Israelites. While I do see that, it also says those that enslaved the Israelites are going to be the servants. And the last time I checked, I have not enslaved anybody, as far as I know. I've had servants, though. I've had to pay people to do things for me, but I have not had slaves. So I don't know. That's, again, one of those hard teachings that some people like to hear, or some people don't like to hear. is that it is entirely possible that certain people will be made servants of others, slaves of others, on the other side during this 1,000-year reign. People don't like to hear that, but it's in the Bible. Who will be considered in that? Well, again, it's those that enslave the poor, those that enslave the people that are going to be saved. And I can think of a million other people before I would even consider any Joe Schmo off the street. But again, there are people out there that will preach, oh, well, every one of you out there is going to be, going to be our servants. You're going to be our slaves. You're going to do everything we say. No, I think that it gets a little bit more clear than that. I really do. I think you need to go back and reread the Bible and really understand what it means. Anyways, there is a chosen people. God has chosen his people, yes. But God is also calling a lot of other people to his church right now. You are chosen if you believe the word, if you are pulled into the word. You are chosen for completely different reasons other than just the fact that you are part of Israel, that you are part of Jacob, that you are of the bloodline of Abraham. You are being chosen for other reasons other than that. I don't know my bloodline. I don't even care about my bloodline. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that one day God woke me up and told me, this is your life now. And he changed me for it. And I got pulled into his family because he chose me for whatever reason. And again, it's not because I'm anybody's family or anything. I am a nobody. I am a nothing. But he chose me for this role going forward. Again, I don't know why. I was an absolute nobody. Absolute nobody. I was borderline atheist. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of this. I was living my life. I was living my wonderfully wicked, evil life. There was nothing at the time that I would have ever stopped and said, I am a good, righteous man. I never would have said that ever. I would have said, you know what, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. And then just one day, it just kind of changed. I don't know. It's weird. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be sitting here doing this, I would have said you're out of your damn mind. I said you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. That's the power. That's the power of God to change lives. No matter how he changed your life, he will change your life to this point. It's indescribable. I really can't. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like one day I thought I had it all figured out, and then the next day, God, and then everything changed. That's the best way I could put it. This is one day it was just like, oh, whatever, life is life, and then the next day just God, and then it has changed my life so much for the better that I can do nothing but thank him and praise him. It's a miracle, absolute miracle. Anyways, let's keep going. I have I don't know where that. I'm sure that testimony video still exists on my YouTube channel somewhere. I made a testimony video a long time ago. So it's out there. I haven't watched it in a while. I am actually interested 5 years later to hear what I said back then. I'm sure it's completely different than it is now. Who knows? Who knows? All right. I don't see any more paragraph breaks for the rest of this. So we've got 19 verses. Wow. It's like a full page without a paragraph break. So we're going to take it as it is. If I see something that I need to stop and talk about, we'll stop and talk about it. But verse 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. That is the best and most beautiful verse that you can ever have. Do not fear, because God is with you everywhere you go. He will strengthen you. He will help you. He will uphold thee with the right hand of his righteousness. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them, and shalt not find them, even them that contended with thee. They that war against thee shall be as nothing, and as a thing of naught. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. That is 3 fear nots in a row. Do not fear. And here's a 4th. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel. I will help thee, saith the Lord, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains, and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as chaff. I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains, and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as chaff. Even if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could move mountains. Thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them. And thou shalt rejoice in the Lord, and shalt glory in the Holy One of Israel. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places, and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittim tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, and the pine, and the box tree together. They that may see, and know, and consider, and understand together, that the hand of the Lord hath done this, and the Holy One of Israel hath created it, that they may see, and know, and consider. I read that wrong. Produce your cause, saith the Lord. Bring forth your strong reasons, saith the King of Jacob. Let them bring them forth, and show us what shall happen. Let them show the former things, what they be, that we may consider them, and know the latter end of them, or declare us things for to come. Show the things that are to come hereafter, that we may know that ye are gods. Yea, do good, or do evil, that we may be dismayed and behold it together. We're going to come back to that one. Behold, ye are nothing, and your work of naught. An abomination is he that chooseth you. I have raised up one from the north, and he shall come. From the rising of the sun shall he call upon my name, and he shall come upon princes, as upon mortar, and as the potter treadeth clay. Who hath declared from the beginning, that we may know, and before time, that we may say, he is righteous? Yea, there is none that showeth, yea, there is none that declareth, yea, there is none that heareth your words. The first shall say to Zion, Behold, behold them, and I will give to Jerusalem one that bringeth good tidings. For I beheld, and there was no man, even among them, and there was no counselor that, when I asked of them, could answer a word. Behold, they are all vanity. Their works are nothing. Their molten images are wind and confusion. All right, let's go back. We do not have to do everything in the beginning of that was pretty much word for word. We don't have to worry about so much. Breaking down mountains and spreading them to the winds. When the poor and needy seek water, God will be there. He will open up rivers. He will give them pools in the wilderness. He will plant the trees so that they can have food and shelter, so that they may see and hear that it was God that did this. So produce your cause, saith the Lord. This is verse 21. Bring forth your strong reasons, saith the King of Jacob. 22. Let them bring forth and show us what shall happen. Let them show the former things, what they be, that we may consider them, and know the latter end of them, or declare us things for to come. Let them bring them forth. Let them bring them forth. What did I say? 20, 21, 22. Bring them forth and show us what shall happen. Let them show the former things. The things that were before. Let them show the things that were before, or declare us what is coming. Show the things that are to come hereafter, that we may know that ye are gods. Come to us and declare the things that were before this, and declare what's coming next, so that we will know that you are gods. Yea, do good or do evil, that we may be dismayed and behold it together. But, behold, you are nothing, and your work is of naught. An abomination is he that chooseth you. Bring forth those that are going to tell us the way things used to be. Those that think they know the past, the way that things used to be, and those people that, because they know the past, they think they can predict the future. Bring them here and let them show it to us. Let them tell it to us, so that we will know that they are the gods. Those that predict the future, those that know the past perfectly, those that will say, well, we know that the earth is millions and millions of years old. The universe is millions and millions of years old. This fossil that we found here is 320 million years old. Let those people come here, and then let those people predict our future. Let them tell us these things, so that we will know that they are gods. But they are not. You are nothing, and your work is of naught. An abomination is he that chooseth you. God has raised up one from the north, and he shall come. Now this is interesting. From the rising of the sun shall he call upon my name. From the rising of the sun shall he call upon my name. He shall look to the east and call upon my name. Is that what that is? Now, I've seen it in a couple different places in the book. Unless these are separated. And I'm sure these might be separated. And somebody else I've listened to has said, what if our cardinal directions are not what we thought it is? We are told that north is north. We are told that east and west and south are what it is. But what if the compass is turned? What if whenever the Bible says, they came out of the north, it really means they're coming out of the east? Now, I'm not saying that everything is backwards, but I do hear things like this. And it just makes me question it. I'm not going to say that it is what it is. I'm just saying that it does make me question what are the cardinal points. I mean, again, our compasses point to a place that we call north. Is it north? Is it east? Is it west? These are just words. These are just words that we take for granted that they could be, thousands and thousands of years old. I mean, we call Polaris the North Star. Is that what they called it 1,000 years ago? You have to consider these things. Yes, I know that every constellation has different names according to different peoples and different stars and all that, but for us, for a people whose histories seem to have only been written over the past 200, 300 years, everything is only about 200, 300 years old. What is north? What is south? Can we trust these names for these conventions? I'm going to go with we can trust it for now. But again, somebody brought that up and I was like, if you really put it into that kind of context, I have raised up one from the north, and he shall come from the rising of the sun shall he call upon my name. So it's one that comes from the north and calls upon his name to the east. Okay, that's fine. We get that. But there are other places, again, where, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Again, it's not that we can't trust the Bible. It's not that we can't trust God. It's that it's a questioning of, remember, I said at the very beginning of all of this, probably two years into making these kinds of videos, I said I am starting at a blank slate, that I cannot trust anything, that I have to prove everything for myself at this point, because we don't know what is and isn't true anymore. So it's just a question. It doesn't mean that, everything is backwards. I'm not saying that, the Bible is lying. I'm just saying every time I see something like that, I just have to ask the question. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Not so much about the directions of the compass, but just the things that we've been told, that we take for granted every day. Always question everything at this point. And he shall come upon princes as upon mortar, and as the potter treadeth clay. Oh wait, where am I at? Blah, who hath declared from the beginning, that we may know, and before time that we may say he is righteous? Yea, there is none that showeth, yea, there is none that declareth, Yea, there is none that heareth your words. The first shall say to Zion, Behold, behold them, and I will give to Jerusalem one that bringeth good tidings. For I beheld, and there was no man, even among them, and there was no counselor, that, when I asked of them, could answer a word. Of course, again, that is, people of this world saying, saying that they think they know what's going on in the world. Those that proclaim to be smarter than everybody else. Those that proclaim to have the hidden knowledge. And yet, when God comes around, they're not there. They're not there. They're gone. They're hiding. Their empty, useless words mean nothing. And it says in the next line, Behold, they are all vanity. Their works are nothing. Their molten images are wind and confusion. Behold, they are all vanity. They like to talk a lot of crap, to make themselves better, to puff themselves up, to appear better than they are. And yet, when it really comes down to proving the truth behind the words, it's nothing. There's nothing there. It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to learn. Especially for the context of what we're going through today. The scientists, the people, the learned ones, the people that think they know better than you do, the ones that keep changing the rules every time that you find there's something wrong with what they're saying. They change the rules. They move the goalposts. They proclaim to know everything, and yet whenever you put it to the test, it's not there. It's always something that either doesn't make sense or doesn't add up, or something that doesn't pass the test. And that seems to be just about everything anymore. Again, when I was a kid, we were taught about the theory of everything. The theory of the Big Bang, the theory of evolution, the theory of gravity, the theory of whatever. And I remembered that. I always remembered. It was always a theory. Because they can't prove it. Because a lot of it is so old and so esoteric, I guess is the word. It's so far removed from anything that we could even try to prove that you don't know what it is. We can't prove it at all. And yet somewhere along the line, I want to say it was about 20 years ago or so, maybe even more than that. I don't even know. It morphed. It changed. It changed into the fact. It went from being a theory to being a proven fact. People don't even call it a theory anymore. They claim it is what it is. And if you don't follow along with it being the fact, the truth, then you are considered stupid. Because it's always been a fact. It's always been a fact. They've known this has been a fact for 500 years, 700 years. Hell, they knew this 1,500 years ago. Man, you don't even know what was happening 1,500 years ago. You call it the Dark Ages for a reason. You call it the Dark Ages because supposedly you don't know what the hell happened. I call it the Dark Ages because I think you guys made it up. Because I personally don't think we're 2,000 years removed from the birth of Christ. I think we're only about 1,500 years removed from the birth of Christ. And you just made up all this extra crap just to hide the fact that people escaped from a certain part of the world and came over to this new land and inhabited this land way before other people did. And when the other people finally came over, they killed everybody that was here. And instead of telling them that's the truth, that they came in and just slaughtered everybody and enslaved everybody, that they just made up the lie that there was nobody here really, just a bunch of savages that we needed to kill anyways because they were going to kill us in our sleep if we didn't. So anytime you see a Native American, you might as well just kill them. But those are the people that, you know, they want to claim these things, but they don't know. But they want to tell you that it's fact now. You know, yeah. As far as the adding 1,000 years, that's again, you know, there were people here. I don't know if I ever covered America. I know I covered up to a certain point. I did 2 videos. One of them was like 2 hours long, and it was like the history of the world, what I considered the history of the world. And I know I went through like the giants, and I went through, you know, how people could have moved around, how things could have happened. And I think I did a second one, but it was like hidden inside of another subject title. I don't remember what it was, but I talked a little bit more about the Amaru and the people that lived here, and, you know, the stories of the Native Americans that got, you know, taken down into the cave systems with the ant people, and how they came back up, and all this stuff was here, and they just kind of moved in. But I've never really like gone over the top with like the Tartaria stuff and the mud flood stuff, even though that stuff was here too. And but I still believe in that. I still believe that, you know, in addition to the people that were here, not what we would call Native Americans, but whoever was here before that, the people that created like Cahokia, and, you know, the places where we just went to, the Mississippians, that their mounds were covered up, that they don't have to be dirt. I mean, just because they say that there's, you know, millions and millions of tons of dirt underneath those mounds doesn't mean that's what it is. Remember, we have to question everything. Those could very well be some kind of rock formations underneath. Not natural rock formations. Unnatural rock formations. I mean, just like the Garden of the Gods. When I talked about the Garden of the Gods, that could be a wall. Those could be stones that were placed side by side to make a wall of some kind. A wall from what? The fact that it's just out in the middle of nowhere. And if you look at it on the on a map, I was looking at it on a map. There are not very many other rock formations out there. It is very, very weird. No, every time you look up Garden of the Gods, it always gives you somewhere else. Illinois. There we go. Let me see if I can pull this. Because it's like not on a hill. It's not, you know, there's a couple places where there's some rock formations, but when you really, really look at it, especially from the top. Let me go ahead and pull you in. I love to do this kind of stuff. All right, let me see. Okay, looks like we're good. So this is where we were, Garden of the Gods, of course, and you might not be able to see it very well. Let me pull that out so you can get a better look. But when you look at it from satellite or from the balloons, it's just these little straight line rock formations. You know, you come up here, look at this. It's like this curved rock formation. It's very, very strange when you look at it from the top. You come down here, it's just a line of rocks, line of rocks, line of rocks. There's nothing else out here. This is all trees. It's all trees. I can't tell if these are rocks or if this is something else. I don't know what this is. So, and it's all flatland too. It's all just completely flatland. There just happens to be a big ass rock right in the middle of it. Could it be a giant? Hell, I don't know, man. This could be a leg. This could be, this could be a body. And for all those people out there that love to say that every mountain is a giant, maybe you ought to come out here and look at this stuff. You know, maybe this is the chest of a giant. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to say what it is or it isn't. I'm just saying that this is what it is. But when you look at it, it's just a bunch of rocks out in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. But when you look at it from the top, you can see that these rocks, they make these straight line formations. Straight line formations. Straight line formations, like they were stacked together in rows. Straight line formations. Look right here. It's this weird straight line formation, and there's a crack right down the middle of this. Is that natural? But then this one, same way. It's these straight line formations, and it's rocks on top of rocks on top of rocks, and they're all put together in a certain way. Again, straight line formations, straight line formations. I'm not going to say what it is or it isn't, but side by side, when you look at these things, when you observe these things from a certain place, they look strange. This is a straight line formation right here. These things were here before anyone else got here. So there were people here that built these things. This was probably something bigger than I could even possibly fathom. But there were, the people that built Cahokia, whoever those people were. They could have built this kind of stuff, and then it got shoveled over with dirt for a mud flood. It could very well, every time I say, oh, looks like a sphinx, it could be a sphinx covered with 20, 30 feet of dirt. You just don't know. You don't know. But this is the same kind of thing, except this got exposed. This just happened to get exposed. All the weathering for the past however many years just happened to expose a huge giant wall. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. Again, you look at it from this far out, it looks like a figure. I'm not gonna lie. It looks like a figure. It really does. For all those videos that I ever watched of guys that will pull the shapes out of the mountain ranges and stuff like that. This is your chest. This is your head. This is an arm. This comes down to the butt right here. This is a leg. I see it. I'm not going to say that's what it is. I'm just saying that it's interesting that it's a thing that's there and that there is a gigantic rock. It could be a heart for all I know. Then, it could be, I don't know. This is why we point this stuff out. I don't know if the layers, is there a terrain map? Oh. Well, that just looks like garbage to me. These are all hills, but only so much of it is exposed rock. See what I mean? Yeah, that terrain looks like crap now. Well, you can see it on one, but you can't see it on the other. Well, you can kind of see it, really. Again, there's a leg. This would be the chest and the head. You can kind of see it. That's again for all those people that like to say that every mountain is a a giant. And I do believe, yes, there were giants that got that big, but I don't. I'm not going to proclaim that is or isn't a giant. Anyways, there was a people that lived here before, and they all died off for some reason or another. When the Spanish, Italian, whoever it was that came over on the boats back in the what they want to call the 1500s, the point where I think they reset the calendars, where they added more into it in order to hide what they did. They came over, found the people that were here, whoever it was, whether it was brown natives, black natives, both, probably both. They moved in and slaughtered these people. Or that it was either that or they decided that they wanted the land because it was Tartaria. It was a lush and beautiful place with all of these architectural wonders that had been built. This free energy system that they had at one point in time, stuff you could look into. That they came in and took it over. And in order to take it from these people, they had to kill everybody. Manifest Destiny. Manifest Destiny said that, it's our rule. It's our existence to be able to go from this point from this ocean to that ocean, and every part of this is ours. We have to take it. And you get the crazy things like the Louisiana Purchases, and you get the things like, them fighting the French over the battle, or they're fighting the French over the land, winning the land and slowly pushing the French north so that all they have is Canada and the whole thing. And you get those stories, but then you start putting it together that they were taking this land from somebody because all of this stuff was here. And what was I going to say? You get the stories of, who was it? Somebody was talking about Napoleon. The way that the battles that they were fighting Napoleon. And he was saying somewhere inside of those stories, it sounded like he was fighting here in America. I don't know if that's true. I haven't done any research on Napoleon. I know nothing about him. But it was somebody was saying that he was here. That's why when they were fighting him while he was in America, that's whenever he lost all that land and he fled back to wherever it was. I don't know if that's true. I just think it's an interesting story. Stories are interesting, especially whenever people tell them in a certain way. But again, there was a people here. Black, brown, I don't know. I can't say for certain. What I do know is that there were more black people here in America than could have ever been pulled over in slave ships. Everybody likes to say, 400 years, they could have gotten so many people over. You have to do the math. Even if you had ships running nonstop, 24/7, at 200 to 300 slaves per ship, I still think that you could have only gotten, what did somebody say, 6 million? It was between like 4 to 6 million, and somehow there were 10 to 15 million slaves in America that got transported over. So that's the numbers that they said. It's not even possible. And that's 24/7. That's constantly running against what is it? The Gulf Stream. That's constantly running against the Gulf Stream, having to, you're having to take the trip way down below the equator just to be able to come back up, the coast of Florida. And they didn't drop them off in the coast of Florida. They'd sailed them all the way up into like Virginia. They didn't sail straight across. They would have had to have taken the quickest route, which would have been to follow the Gulf Stream all the way around. Or whatever it's called. I mean, when you think about it, when you really truly think about it, it doesn't make any sense. Because if you sailed straight across from Africa to Virginia, you're going against the wind. You're pushing boats against the wind to get here. And I don't know how much people know about sailing, but I don't think you could tack that much in order to be able to make that trip any faster. You would have to sail down to follow the stream to come back up. And then again, you'd be coming up through Florida and, you'd be following the coast all the way up to Virginia just to drop slaves off, just to start the process back over. Big circle. And then you'd have to have ships rolling 24/7. And magically, when the slave trade stopped, all those ships disappeared. I mean, there's only like one or two that they say that survived that we still have. I think we have one left. I don't even know. But where's the rest of them? Did they go out and scuttle them all? That was one thing I always ask questions about, is if we supposedly had all these ships that were transporting people nonstop over and over and over again, where are they at? Where are all these ships that were bringing people over? Not just slaves, just people, period. Because, I mean, these are great, huge wooden monsters that you don't just build a ship and then just let it sink. Or you don't just build a ship and then scuttle it. There's how many wooden ships are left in that? Let me look that up. Let me see what that is. How many wooden ships are left? How many wooden ships are in the Garden of the Gods? What the hell? What? Google, what are you doing to me? Complete list of ship types. How many wooden ships are left? In the world? There you go. List of oldest surviving ships. List of oldest surviving ships. Come on now. Oh, we've got canoes. Yeah, I don't need canoes, guys. I'm looking at like from 1500s to the 1859. That's okay. I'll go with that. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 20. Okay, about 60. Say about 70. Say about 60 or 70. 60 or 70 ships. And a lot of these are... That's a schooner. That ain't going anywhere. That's an armored yacht. That's a gunboat. These are barges. Yes, colony ship. Well, there's a colony ship. galley. So you're talking about like 60 or 70 ships from the 1500s to the 1850s, 1859, that are still around, that half of them aren't even, half of these are warships. These aren't even slave ships. Where's the slave ships? One is a replica Viking ship. Somebody made a replica Viking ship in the 19th century. It's a lifeboat. They actually have a lifeboat on here because it just happened to. There's a submarine. See, these don't. Australia convict ships. Now, see, I would agree with that because they used to transport convicts to different countries because their prisons, England's prisons, were starting to fill up because they were having a problem with their prisons. So they started moving people out. They moved people out to Australia. Australia became a prison country. They were moving convicts to America. That's another thing that I've been learning recently in the 1800s is 1800s, well, 1700s really. A lot of the guys, a lot of the people that they brought here to the colonies were convicts, which I think is hilarious. America has always been a land of thieves and criminals, always been. But there are no slave ships. Where are they all at? You know, you would have had to have had hundreds of these things, and there's none. I'm sure there's one. I'm sure somebody said, well, what about the one in... Well, you know, I'm not seeing it right now. But I don't agree with that official story anymore. I think that there were people here that whenever, for lack of a better term, the white man came over, whoever it was, the French, the Spanish, when they came over, they enslaved whoever was here, killed the rest, and taught everybody a lie. And then that's the lie that we agree upon. You know? That's the history of America. And then somewhere along the line, they changed the calendar. Somewhere along the line in the 1800s, a great disaster happened in America. We have been finding that out more and more as we've gone along. The War of 1812, and then something else happened. There were earthquakes and floods and all kinds of other stuff that's been documented. And then it's like history. It's just like history happened. From the 1850s on, that's about all the history we get to have. It's about 200 years of history. Everything before that is like whatever's there. And then it's like magically, you started getting steam engines and you started getting, automobiles and planes and all this stuff. It's like, what happened? What happened? What changed? What's going on? But before that, there were people that made these things that were here. Not only the big cities, not only the big earthenworks, but you have the stuff like Cahokia. You have the stuff that was there, and whoever made that disappeared, and then the official story says that brown Native Americans moved in and were living there. And that's whenever they were found, and they said, well, this stuff was already here. But of course, again, their tales say that they were pulled underground because they were told that a great catastrophe was coming. Maybe that's what killed the first people out. I don't know. It's something to look further into. Something I will definitely be looking further into to see if I can pull something out of it, because it feels like I'm right on the edge of something. It feels like I'm right on the edge of finding something out. And I don't know what it is yet. But I've got like 20 different puzzle pieces. And right now, only 3 of them fit. And the rest of them don't even seem like they go to this puzzle. It's really, really weird. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's not. Maybe I'm just making it all up in my mind and I'm crazy. And if that's the case, then, I could just go back to sleep, I guess. I can just go back to thinking that everything is the way that they say that it is, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot more to this than we're being told. And the more that we ask questions, the crazier it gets. So I don't know. I think I just need to write it all down. Try to figure out some kind of a timeline or something. In the meantime, I'm going to stop, let you guys go. Thank you for listening. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's definitely weird. I think I do need to write it down. Maybe that would help. Just to get a perspective on it. Because again, there were people here. Somebody built these mounds. Somebody built what looks like gigantic walls. Somebody let's try it this way. There were people here before. Now, again, our history says that there were people here, but their version of history also doesn't make sense with what we see, what we are told. There were people here. There were buildings and things that were here that other people that, again, according to their history, they moved into. They just appeared there. They just moved into these places because they came from somewhere else. So they moved into these places of people that used to live here to begin with, which absolutely contradicts everything we were told. Yeah, believe it or not, Cahokia contradicts everything we were told, and yet, they want to keep their history of there was nobody here but savages. These people were not savages. These people were able to do things that we couldn't even fathom. But there were people here that were wiped out in some way, shape, or form. Lots of people here that were wiped out in some way, shape, or form. And there were cities, great, huge cities that sprung up over that 100 to 150 year span, 200 year span, from the 1700s to the 1800s. There were cities that sprung up that appeared to have free electricity, that appeared to have technology that we can't even fathom. And there are maps of this country that show entire parts of it that were underwater at one point in time, that are now dry. So something is going on. It's like the history of America that, again, they tell us is just completely ass backwards from what we see and understand. It's weird. I don't know. It's something, again, it's something that needs to be, it needs to be written down. There are people out there that are way better at this than I am. But again, on top of all that, on top of all this other stuff, there is the concept of places in America that are called, that are referred to and resemble places that are halfway across the world in Egypt. There are artifacts and many different things that have been found that have Hebrew writing, Egyptian writing, Chinese writing, and what's the other one? Viking writing. These things that were found over and over and over again that don't make sense. Half a world away. Found these things in America. Don't make sense. They keep finding that stuff. Not only that, but you have the tales of the giants. You have the tales of the red-headed giants that were out here. So you take all of this together. You take all of this together and you talk about the gods that they used to worship, and you talk about the, everything. There is such an amazing story going on there. It's not even just the, fake slave trade or Tartaria or whatever. It's everything. It's the giants, the Amaru, the gods these people used to worship, the people that came here and built the pyramids and stuff. So much. It's a lot. It's a lot. I gotta stop. I definitely gotta stop. All right. Thank you guys for listening again. God bless everyone. You take care of yourselves. It's crazy stuff, man. It's crazy stuff. And again, the more you think about it, the more you're just like, what in the world is going on? And if it's all in my head, then it's all in my head. Don't listen to me. But it's not all in my head, because there are so many other people to talk about this stuff. And you just see the same symbols over and over again. It's just so weird. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. Oh, man. I don't want to stop it at 1 minute and 13. I don't want to be that guy. What else can I talk about real quick? I don't even know what I can talk about real quick. Yeah. I mean, really though, if you just, because it keeps flashing in my head. It's just like, especially the thing with the Amaru. The Amaru and the Nisroch, the eagle god. Once I found that out, and once I put that together, and then you've got the country in the middle, you got Mexico, it's an eagle fighting a snake. And those stories that they tell you about why, that just don't mean nothing. But when you know that there was an eagle god in North America and there was a snake god in South America, and then right in the middle there's a country that has a flag of an eagle. What in the hell is going on? And all the imagery fits. We went out there to Cahokia and the mounds, the Mississippians. We went out there and we saw that same imagery over and over and over again. And it doesn't make any sense that these are the same gods. When you look at it, 100%, even the way that they say the chiefs were dressed, it looks exactly like Nisroch, like the Babylonian, Assyrian gods. It's the same exact thing. And the Piasol bird is the same exact bird. Now, I get it. Nobody ever brought this up, but I've already brought it up to myself, that if you follow their history, if you follow what they tell us, so this is the Babylonian gods. We're talking, what, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, right? It's about 3,000 years ago, give or take, 3,500 years ago, something like that. They could have taken those gods. They would have had to have migrated all the way through Russia 3,000 years ago, crossed over into Alaska, which would not have been there 3,000 years ago, crossed over into Alaska, crossed down through Canada, and would have occupied Canada, North America, Mexico, and South America right around the 700s to 1000 AD. That's a 1,000-year trek through countless different areas, countless different religions, countless different cultures. Because you got to remember that they say that these people crossed the land bridge in Alaska 7,000 years ago, and that they got into America, and all they did was just kind of sit around and be savages for a while until 2000 BC, whenever it is, whenever they were down in South America and started building pyramids. That's what they say. But that land bridge wasn't there, in the what, 1500s BC, whatever it was, 1000 BC. Their timeline doesn't match what could have happened. Because again, this is the Babylonians would have had to have left about, 1500 BC, give or take. And they would have had to have made it all the way over into America within 1,000 years in order to start building all this stuff. And even then, they say that these people migrated from the south. So these people would have come all the way across the land bridge, gone all the way down to South America, just to come back up to North America. That's what the official history would tell you. And I kept rolling that over my head. I was like, in order for that to work, according to the actual history, they would have had to have made it from the Middle East all the way over and down just to come back up. It's the most amazing trek anybody has ever made ever. But this is what we would have to believe in order to understand that there is a bird god in North America, Illinois, that is exactly like a bird god in Babylon. That's what we would have to believe. See, it's possible, but not probable. It's just very, very strange. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Anyways, all right, I'm going to stop now. I can't stop now. Now it's like 1 minute and 19 seconds. I'm not going to stop on a 119. What am I doing here? It doesn't explain, the whole Babylonian thing doesn't explain all the Egyptian artifacts. Unless these people brought it all with them. I don't know. It's just so much. It's so much. And the Egyptians had boats. The Egyptians had big boats that could have very easily have sailed across an ocean. Don't ever let anybody ever tell you that these people never got around. These people got around. They absolutely did. And it was not, they never sailed off and were scared of a sea serpent that kept them, on land. That's horseshit. The whole story is horseshit. It really is. Everybody in prehistoric times, and we can say prehistoric because it's prehistory. It's pre what we know. So you say prehistoric, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's the dinosaurs." No, it's not just dinosaurs. It's prehistoric. But everybody in prehistoric times were able to go anywhere they wanted to go. If they could build a pyramid, they could build a boat that could cross an ocean. Just saying. If they could build a pyramid, they could build a boat that could cross the ocean. But yeah, these people were able to go wherever they wanted to go, do whatever they wanted to do. That's just the way of it. Oh, also one other thing. Somebody showed a picture of the Sphinx from above, and they were saying, I don't think the head of the Sphinx looks like it should be there. It doesn't look right. And all I could think of is, man, that body shape really, truly does look like those mounds that we saw. It's like it could very well be a rock formation, underneath of some kind of something that they put dirt all over the top of. It does. When you look at the Sphinx from up high, and then you look at the Cahokia Mounds from up high, they look almost exactly the same. Again, I'm not saying that is what it is. I'm just saying there's a similarity there that maybe we should kind of sort of talk about. All right, now I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. Thank you guys for listening. Again, I tend to ramble. I know this, but it's stuff worth discussing, stuff worth talking about. It's just a lot of puzzle pieces. It's a lot of puzzle pieces that don't fit together right. It's either that or I just don't know the picture. I got all these pieces to the puzzle, but I don't know how they're supposed to go together. It's just crazy stuff. And again, hey man, I could be wrong. I could be wrong following the history the way that they tell it. And, everything could just be fine and hunky-dory. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that there is a massive lie to cover up the truth. Why? Because the truth would lead us to a place that they don't want us to be led to. The truth will lead us to God. Eventually, it would lead us all back to God. That's what happened to me. So, anyways, I shall talk to you all later. Take care of yourselves.